Well, enough about the markets, and let's talk about your trading style, because one thing I'm real clear on in my own trading is that after working with, gosh, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7,000 people over the years, that it's real difficult to take my particular trading style and just put it right into you. That you have to find what's best for you. Just look at us all here today. Are we all wearing the same shoes? Same shirts? Nobody's got on the same shirt. Same tie? Ladies have on different clothes. We all have a different personality to ourselves. And unfortunately, commodity traders will come into this business and say, I'm going to be like Ken Roberts, like Larry Williams, like Jake Bernstein, like whoever, like Richard Dennis. And they find they can't. They just can't do it. And it's because they haven't looked at who they are, what their trading style should be, to create a trading style that fits them. And that's so important. A lot of people say, oh, Larry, don't bore me with that. But I'm telling you, it's probably as important as money management to know what your trading style should be. So let's talk about how you can develop what your trading style should be. There are a lot of things you can look at about yourself. These are some questions I think you need to ask yourself. And they're in your notebook. How do you make your mind up? That's probably the first one. I'm kind of a plunderer. I don't rush to conclusions real quickly. I like to look at facts and evaluate them and argue them back and forth in my mind. And then once I come to a conclusion, I really stick with it. Come hell or high water, that's my opinion. Some people are just the opposite. Just like that, they can make up their mind. Boom. Well, when you think about it, who do you think is going to be a better day trader? The person that can go just like that? Or me? I'm saying, well, I don't know if I'm going to buy it or sell it. Well, by then it's probably moved. Which is one reason why for me to day trade has got to be a total focus experience. Whereas for other people that can make up decisions quicker, their mind reacts quicker than my mind does, they're probably going to be a better short-term trader. And there are some people who would be to the other extreme of myself, and it's going to take them forever to make a decision. You know anybody like that? Just, you know, give them all the data, and 2 months later, they still can't tell you yes or no. Those people probably real good long-term traders because they're not going to be moved to a rush to judgment overnight. It's going to take something for them. So you need to say, hey, how do I make my decisions? What's my decision-making process? I'll tell you another thing, especially for men, and maybe for you women as well, is what's your athletic background? Were you a sprinter or were you a long-distance runner? You know, what do you do now? Are you a golfer, a jogger, a downhill skier, cross-country skier? I think that a lot of how we react physically is based on our mental state, and that's going to give you a pretty good insight as well. What's your natural, it doesn't have to be athletic, but your natural physical reaction and action to things. Do you have a quick response mechanism? Then you're going to be a short-term trader. Just as I mentioned earlier, if it's a little slower response mechanism, you're going to be a little longer-term trader. But it's a great way to analyze what type of system is probably going to work for you. What's your response mechanisms? Are they real quick? And do they get changed real quickly? Because you've got to be careful, as I mentioned earlier, about changing your mind too many times. So how do you stick with those decisions once you make them? I think that's pretty important. Another thing is how risky are you? When I talk about money management, I'm going to give you one of the great money management rules, which is simply this, that you need to have risk. That's really important. You need to be willing to take risk on and assume risk. And here's how to tell if you're taking on too much risk or not enough risk. If you can go home at night and sleep all the way through, sleep soundly during the night, you ain't risking nearly enough. You know, if you wake up once or twice a night worried, that's about right for a commodity trader. If you can't sleep at all, you're probably risking too much. And you need to evaluate yourself in that light. How much risk will I take on? Well, clearly, if you're afraid to take on risk, get out of here. Don't, turn off the television, pull a videotape out, and give it to somebody else. If you're unwilling to take on risk, this is not for you. This is a real risky business. It's a business where some 90% of the people, if you believe the most of the statistics that I've seen over the years, lose their money. But a lot of people have made a lot of money, and the way you do it is by taking on risk, by assuming some risk. Frequently, people will call me up and say, gee, Larry, I've been paper trading. In other words, they haven't taken any real trades. They've just been following the market for quite a while. I've been doing that for 3 months. What do I do now? And I say, well, jump in the pool. And they say, oh, I'm afraid to. And you just have to get rid of fear and say, I'm going to do it, and start to assume some risk. So A long-term trader probably will have a larger stop. Where he's going to admit defeat will be further away from him than a short-term trader. A short-term trader may spin on a dime, whereas a long-term trader will need more price movement against him before he'll acknowledge that it was a wrong trade. So now you've got an interesting contradiction, don't you? Let's say that I'm a very short-term reactive person. Boom, boom, I like short-term. I'm a sprinter. I think real quickly. I do numbers real quickly in my head, which isn't my definition of myself, but let's say I'm that person. But by the same token, I don't mind big risk. I like big risk. I'll have a great big wide stop. Well, that won't work for my trading style of in and out if I have huge stops. So you may get a contradiction of those things, and that's where you need to look at yourself and say, wait now, let's figure out my game plan. What's going to work best for my psyche? Why are you trading is a real interesting question. 15, 20 years ago, a psychologist and I did a series of seminars throughout America. I think we did 6 of them. Had a couple hundred people in each one. And we gave everybody a sheet to fill out to give a little personality profile so we could look at these people and try to help them figure out what their psyche was for trading. It was really illuminating. We asked one question, why are you trading the market? List of 3 reasons why you're trading the market. So we had maybe 600, 700 people that went through this experience with us. That's a lot of people from all over, from New York City, from Florida, from Chicago, from Los Angeles, from Seattle, a large sample of people. I say that because of all those people, nobody, not one person put down for the first reason to make money. Isn't that interesting? Nobody put down why they're trading commodities first reason to make money. It was always things like, it's a challenge, it's a rush, to show my mother-in-law I'm really smart. And all these interesting reasons of why they were trading, but nobody put down to make money. Well, maybe that was the peace and love era when it wasn't good to profit. I don't know, but these were commodity speculators. You think that they wouldn't have long hair and love beads, that they would make a huge amount of money. Why do we have any guilt about that? So I think that that's true of a lot of us, is that we haven't isolated that our reason, my reason for trading the market is one and only one reason, to make money. There's no other reason to do this. If you think this is a great fun game to play, hey, go play chess or checkers or backgammon or, handicap football scores or whatever you want to do. But don't do this unless you want to do it to make money. That's why you got to be in this business. Now, you may have sub-reasons to be in it, to show your mother-in-law you're a pretty intelligent guy. Or one guy put down, because he'd been sponging off of his brother-in-law and he wanted to get out of that relationship. Whatever. But the first reason's got to be to make money. And you will drift away from that. You always have to come back to make money, to make money. Another important thing is do any of these things conflict with your lifestyle? You're so lucky. You got to live in California. You know what time the foreign currencies and the bond market is open in California? 5:20 in the morning. That means if you're going to trade those markets, you've got to be up at 4:30. You've got to be alert and to your office by, 5:10. So it's a different lifestyle. If you're living in California, some traders say, hey, I'm not going to trade bonds. I'm too cool to get up at that time. You need to look at, maybe you're working for a company. Can you phase trading into what you're doing there? Well, what time do you go to work? When are your lunch breaks? When do you have time to find out what's happening in the market? That's a physical reality. And most people don't deal with physical realities very well. They just say, oh, it's going to be fun to do, and they start doing it, and then they say, hey, I can't do this, because they didn't think first about the physical reality of their life.